My father was a manufacturer, so he used to sell to big wholesalers. Right? It was purely relationship driven business. When he got on the platform, he was exposed to lakhs of retailers in one go. His exposure to variety, his exposure to transparency increased. And I think that we could feel that now he has an alternative. On our platform, we have around 2 lakh plus retailers, almost, right? And almost out of that, 1 lakh retailers are pretty much active. And they're using the app, they have purchased from business, right, to a certain extent. And we see a good tech adoption there. So a retailer who was used to buying from a local trader and he was used to a narrow variety, today can explore and purchase directly from factories across clusters.
When you run an ad as a brand on Facebook and Google, the customers understand that it is like everyone can run an ad on these platforms, right? And therefore, they do not solve for trust. We believe that the answer for all these challenges is having a phygital distribution network. And we believe that the future of distribution in India is going to be phygital. So human advisory will play a very, very important role in future in India.
So at Fairdeal, we want to win every shopping bag of the world. We help brands to reach to consumer through offline retail channel. The best part about offline retail is it's a instant gratification, right? You have touched and feel the product, you can buy it then and there. Offline retail is always the best case to acquire a consumer because to give you some facts, 90% of the new trials happen offline. Even if you see the biggest FMCG brands, 21% of their sales are now coming from alternate channels. And Fairdeal is building in that same territory of alternate distribution. Mission is to make it easy for these brands to start thinking about offline retail on day zero.
Dhar, Manish, Pradeep. Thank you, Siddharth. You're coming directly from a wedding. So Chaitanya, the co-founder, got married yesterday, and he's coming from Jim Corbett and drove all the way from Jim Corbett to Delhi to catch a flight to Bangalore. So thanks for that effort, and welcome Manish. So Siddharth, you talk about your family business and your first-hand experience as seeing, the struggles of small factory owners and how the linkage to the market is broken. So what are you doing at business and that experience that you grew with? How did that help you understand the pain point?
First of all, thank you for this opportunity to talk about business to all these gentlemen and all of you sitting here. My name is WaterBridge, one of the co-founders at Business. Started this venture almost 8 years now, building this company. Started this with a very simple point of view of noticing my father's manufacturing business. I natively belong from Agra, and my father has been a footwear manufacturer all his life. It's a simple value chain which operates in India, from factory to a bigger wholesaler or a distributor, and then there is a semi-distributor or a semi-wholesaler, and then there is a retailer, right? So this is the sort of value chain which I am trying to say consumer minus one, right? Like after retailer, this just consumer. In that kind of a value chain, I've always noticed and observed the inefficiencies which basically traditional wholesale could opt for at that point of time. However, traditional wholesale is much sharper, it's efficient, but there are still extremely good gaps which could be filled in. In 2014-15, when most of the internet businesses were around consumers, we thought that these shopkeepers and these shop factories, if come on platform together, I think a platform could be built which could be better than offline, or not just better, but let's say a significant 10x difference can come between the offline distribution and online, and I think this could be done. With that approach, we started it, catching some inefficiencies, what wholesalers who are actually opting in at that point of time. And I think last 8 years has been a journey on that. Today we have almost have more than 1 lakh. That time we were just footwear, because we started in footwear because my father has been into footwear. But today business deals in almost all the fashion lifestyle categories. Key categories are footwear and clothing. Almost have 1 lakh plus retailers on our platform who are active, and almost 2,000 plus factories on the back end who supply to these retailers. And the basic thing, the most important thing that I could put out, which we have solved, and these retailers have solved, is first is of course discovery, which broadens up extremely well. Second is pricing, which is most important because these retailers are extremely price sensitive. If there is a difference of 5%, 4%, 3%, they will optimize for it, no matter what. So discovery and pricing gets better. And the most important thing which we think is fundamentally changing the pattern of wholesale than offline versus online is a small token buying, which is very difficult in offline. So, for example, a retailer in Bangalore who is purchasing from a trader in Bangalore, a trader would generally offer him, let's say, to purchase minimum 40 pair a carton or a 40 piece carton. He would find it difficult to have high frequency and low order value buying. But on platforms like ours, he can just order whenever he wants to, given the fashion patterns are changing so fast. And we come with a very clear approach that we need these retailers to compete on the likes of Mishos and Amazons of the world. These retailers will exist, they are existing, and they will have a great future. It's just they also need an extremely good supply partner and a digital partner who could help them with that variety or with that pricing which online platforms could source for. So that's where I think the edge comes in, and extremely opportunistic about this space at this point.
Great. Manish, you were at Dynaut before starting Z, and your journey at Dynaut, how did that help you understand what you want to do and what are you building at Z as a result of that learning?
Yeah, so when I was at Dynaut, I was heading product and growth, and so it is about 2016, 2017 when Dynaut launched the app in 15 new tier 2 cities. And what we were doing is we were spending a lot on Facebook and Google. But in these tier 2 cities, I think the cost of acquisition was very, very high. The budget that we had was not getting consumed fully. And we were like, what's happening? Like in these tier 2 cities, a lot of restaurants are opening up. It is a very clear value prop where you pay your restaurant bill and get discounts, and still we are not able to acquire customers through these mainstream channels. And that time I did a lot of on-ground interviews, and when I used to talk to customers wearing Dynaut t-shirt, people used to tell me that if I pay my restaurant bill and if the restaurant manager says that, hey, I have not received the menu, what will I do? Whom will I catch? So it's like, kisko pakrunga was used to come so many times in that conversation. So there was a clear trust gap that we could feel, and it is like, these are the people who are dining inside a restaurant, having 15,000-20,000 rupees smartphone. And we used to tell them that we are a Times of India Group company, we have this chat support, call support, all that. And they used to like, we don't trust all of this. You are wearing Dynaut t-shirt. If something goes wrong, I want to talk to you. So if you are willing to give me your number, then I am willing to give it a try. So the insight was that they are willing to trust me, who was a stranger, but I could stand in front of them, talk in their language, and over any established channel. So that was the starting point where I got curious that Dynaut is fairly DIY platform. What happened to industries where you need to educate customer, where you need to push customer, where the trust deficit is high, information arbitrage is high. What happened to those industries? How are they distributing? And that's when I realized that every industry where you need to solve for trust, information arbitrage, awareness, they are running on high capex and high opex distribution channels. And that was the insight that in high capex and high opex distribution channels, it is not viable for you to go after a low ARPU customer. So therefore, you see that other than payments, India is massively underpenetrated in all fintech use cases. And we all know the opportunity is there. We still have 100 million people, which is for India to earning $3,000 to $4,000 per year. But the ARPU is so low that it does not make sense for a high capex and high opex system to exist. And that's how it started shaping up, that can we create a no capex, no opex distribution channel for use cases where you need a lot of trust, education, awareness, etc. And that's how it sort of, this insight, that's how it started from Dynamo and continued to say.
Great. And Prateek, like you have your own family business and you were doing your distribution-led, inventory-led distribution when you were part of that. But you quickly decided, look, inventory-led distribution is not where I want to build business. And now you're doing very different non-inventory-led intervention and trading. How is that helping small brands, and how your past learning actually helping you build trading?
So, thank you first of all to invite me here, and happy to speak in front of all the people here. Just to give you what we do at Fairdeal, our vision is to be every shopping bag of the world. And we started with the vision of democratizing distribution, but we learned the hard way that we need to be in every shopping bag of the world. Coming to your question, Ashish, in the first venture, actually only price was the mode when we come to an inventory-led distribution, right? And no one will value you for the services you do, the reconciliation or the delivery, right? And I saw whenever the price, someone have a better price, my sales goes down. So I thought actually the value lies in the service you offer. Could be the inventory management, could be the reconciliation, or could be credit, but never the pricing. So I chose not to do the same again, and started with Fairdeal, where enabling brands which don't have a legacy with them to reach to the consumer. Obviously, we started with reaching to the retailer, but now the idea is to reach to the consumer. And this helps us to stay light and act as an asset-light platform for the brands to reach to the eventual consumer.
So all three of you are fan, but you're using the power of data, and data is basically helping each of you understand the end customer and then use that very differently. So Siddharth, like you're using it very differently, where you are telling a factory what to produce and you are making the ideal capacity come into play. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so in the traditional offline patterns, a factory owner is dependent upon the wholesaler कि क्या बनना है. For example, अगर एक factory owner 15-20 samples produce करता है, वो कहता है कि यार मुझे wholesaler बता देगा कि क्या market में चलेगा or what will run in the market, and I will make my production run on that. And that delivery time is like sampling to shop, like retailer की shelf तक stock आने में, it's almost a 45 to 90 day period. On the platform like us, there are almost 1.2 lakh retailers who are coming every month and transacting from different regions, talukas, जिलास, cities, और वो अपनी दुकान के लिए महीने में 3 से 4 बार खरीद रहे हैं, 5,000 से 6,000 का ऑर्डर लगा के अलग-अलग SKUs. So through that data, and we have categorized retailers into like small shops, showrooms, and so on and so forth like that. It's becomes easier for us to tell factories that what to produce, and it's also easier to us tell retailers to what to source, right? The time reduces, the products, the factory's sampling cost reduces, and the retailers are able to make decisions faster. I feel that we are at very early stages of that. I feel that this data and this sample set is very less. I think, but over the next 5 to 6 years, as we are building strong data sets, this information will be much healthier and much enriched, and I think can be a good solution set for many stakeholders, not these two. So that's about it.
And you're already at a very attractive double-digit take rate, and you're not even like you're saying you're just starting with. And so, do you think that will change, bring in more take rates to the business than where you are today? So, like you are saying that this data-led intervention into your business model, and you're just beginning with this, and this is starting to show results. But you're already sitting at a very attractive take rate. So, when all of this triggers the efficiencies because of data, do you think take rate just starts to move even further?
Yes, as a platform, business is for B2B. दोनों तरफ businesses हैं. Business will pay me for return on capital invested if I just make profit for them. Now, if the cost reduces, if factories, I am able to gain his profit share or a gross margin from, for example, in offline, the factory's take home is somewhere between 6 to 8%, cutting all bad debts, all the payment delays, which offline system does, right? And if I actually increase that profit by almost by 15%, 20% or 30%, I get that take rate advantage. And that's the reason business has been sitting on good take rates, because we cut large inefficiencies in the middle chain. So that's about it.
And Manish, you have done millions of data points, and it is a huge algorithm that you built, and the database is amazingly large. So, what are you driving? Because these are millions and millions of data points, and the industry in which you are is not known for deep take rates, but you are already making deep take rates. So, how is that actually helping you? So, two parts of the question actually. Data and
So I think in our case, it is very clear that from day one we are very clear that we have to make these agents or the middle layer more productive. And to be able to do that, you need to first process their customer profiles and then advise them what they should do with their customers. And I think this is one of the very big value prop that we offer, because in financial services, every customer has a different need and every customer is different from a profile perspective. So one thing that we did from day one is that our app is primarily a CRM for our partners. So they first feed in their customer profiles. We process now, our model is now trained on 300 million data points. So now in real time, we will suggest them what they should do to their customers and what they can do. And then they just represent, they act as a representative. So it's like your relationship manager of a bank, right? They call you, they have a system in place, they know what to talk about, they know your profile, they know what offers are right for you. Their job is to basically talk to you, convince you, and give you that assurance that whatever you are going to do, you are making the right decision. We look them in the same way that they should act as a relationship manager. They should bring us the customers. It is our responsibility to basically crunch that data, profile the customer, and then tell them what is the right product for the customer, and this is how you create win-win proposition for everyone. Because ultimately, we were very clear from day one that you cannot leave this at the discretion of the person who is selling what to sell to whom. Because then the chances of mis-selling, they will tend to move towards products which are easier to sell or higher margins. You have to always keep in mind what is right for the customer. If you can crack that you have to always focus on what is right for the customer and then use these people to acquire these customers and ultimately act as relationship managers to serve those customers, that's how we are going to win this market. And in creating a win-win proposition for our banks, for partners, for customers, and ultimately us, I think building this whole data layer within the product is very, very critical, and that's what we decided.
And Prateek, so recent kind of a change for you in terms of how you're using retail intelligence, correct? And now you're more and more focused on understanding the end customer, using that intelligence to make the retailer earn more through you. And you are now less and less dependent on brand, and you are now making brands depend on you, not only as a sales channel, but also to identify the price points, the product, and optimal customer and retailer mix. So how is that all this data and intelligence actually helping you?
I think Manish have answered all the answers. There was to simply समझाता हूँ. So in retail there are two things. One is trade margin. We call it as trade marketing. Retailer को ज़्यादा कितना मिलेगा compared to the national brand. Then there is called customer marketing. So recently we learned that everything is customer. Right? We can still offer better trade margins compared to what national brand gives. But if the customer won't buy, there is nothing to do. So also it tells us the assortment strategy, what sort of assortments we should offer to the retailer, right? Because ultimately if we offer a wrong assortment, we have to take the goods back, right? And that is good for no one, not even the retailer. And last but not the least is identifying the gaps. So just to give you one example, we did a GTM for a oral care brand, and we came to know that in toothpaste, obviously, grabbing any market share would be very difficult. And we advised them to come up with a tongue cleaner, where there is no national brand, right? And just to tell you, all the number of retailers we supply that oral care brand to, the repeat purchase of tongue cleaner is highest, right? Because they had a differentiation of branding. Obviously, the learning keeps going. Then we change the price. Also, the trade schemes also worked well. We said we will give this tongue cleaner 10+2 now to the retailer so that our selling becomes higher. Right? So all these data points actually help us to understand what eventually the consumer wants, right? And eventually, retailer also wants that, brand also wants that. So all these GTM strategies, if they are more data driven, we can exactly focus on the wallet share of the consumer.
So times is already up. So any questions?
You guys aggregate the order or how retailer can place a small order and aggregate it model, right? So what we do is we ask our factories to sample on the platform. Once we know that these samples are working because there's a lot of data on the platform which is coming in, retailer places that order, we aggregate those orders, and one particular SKU can be manufactured by multiple factories. Because in these markets, 80% is unorganized market and 20% is branded market. What I mean is, a retailer in India keeps 20% branded stuff, 20-30% branded stuff, अपने कैश फ्लो को घुमाने के लिए, और 70-80% को unorganized फैशन रखता है, जिसमें उसका मार्जिन more than 100% या more than 80% भी होता है. So मैं अभी right now उस specific चीज की बात कर रहा हूँ जहाँ पर that particular SKU is being manufactured by multiple factories. So retailers place an order and automatically a system generated purchase orders have been built to the factories, and then factories produces to us, we pack it, distributed it, and then deliver it to the retailers. So the economies of scale persist on the factories. We don't deny that, and that fundamentally is an important point to reduce and optimize the pricing as well.
Yeah, hi Siddharth. What do you consider as in general entry barriers in this business? So given it's a platform wherein you have connected the retailers to the factories. So what stops, or how much time a newcomer would take to reach the scale what you have done?
See, it's last 7 years, new generation B2B platforms have come in. I would say there are 3 platforms which prominently have come into this business: Udan and Ajio, and Business, who has been operating over the last 7 to 8 years. So entry is not that as a barrier, if I could say. But surviving and building that platform which can challenge efficient offline is a challenge. The point is that offline wholesale is not that inefficient. It's very systematic and it's been running since hundreds of years. We today are not offering any credit. We are a negative working capital business. Retailers come, place orders, and give us the payment before taking the stock. We don't take any market risk right now. We just make sure that we know what to give orders to and what retailer should source. So the entry barrier, one is most important, is that change. Because retailer is very relational in nature. जो फैक्ट्री का भी होलसेलर के साथ रिलेशन बना हुआ है, रिटेलर का भी अपने ट्रेडर के साथ रिलेशन बना हुआ है. They are very resistant to switch that up. But given value proposition is very high, the entry is fluous. However, there are small, the difficulty is making margin because it's a small AOV business. होलसेलर तो बड़ी AOV पे डील कर रहा है, हम लोग फैक्ट्री से एक 5,000 का कार्टन या पैकेट दुकानदार तक उतार रहे हैं, उसमें लॉजिस्टिक भी निकालना है और पूरी ऑपरेशन कॉस्ट निकालनी है. So I think that kind of builds up that challenge, but scale solves for that. And given fashion lifestyle categories have high take rates, so we've leveraged that enough, right? So being a negative working capital business, we don't have to put any money to scale it. Because factory comes, sample on the platform, retailer comes buy. That's how it's simple it is, right? So building that operational infrastructure and changing behavior is challenging, I would say, or maybe you can define it as an entry barrier. But however, if you've done that persistently and built a good network, I think it becomes easier because value proposition is very high. Retailer wants an alternative channel today, and to just get more digital footprint on the app as well. So that's how it helps us.
Any other questions?
Hi. Sorry, I had a follow-up question. Common question to all of you all. Given that this retailer onboarding is so important, and obviously you want them to get into different categories, online, offline products, etc. How does that onboarding really happen, and what's the investment time, and how do you sort of grow your retailer network, and also then get cross-product, addition into each of their sort of offerings? And I had a follow-up on that for you, Pratik, but perhaps I don't know if you want to help with this.
Siddharth, you.
Okay. So we have two GTM channels per se. One is pure organic, where individual or sales fleet is not, ground fleet is not involved. Through YouTube or through influencing platforms or YouTube influencers or organic social media, आप दुकानदार को बोलते हैं कि ऐप पे sign up करके आप first order लगा दो. He comes and places the order. That's a pure organic digital way. And given that channel is, however, it's not that prominent because retailers learn tech and learn app adoption. It's a bit difficult out there. So only green retailers use that channel. But if you have to penetrate the market, you have to use feet on street. That is a high cost channel, but very effective. Why? Because that person goes, explains the retailer that how to sign up. It takes average 5 to 6 orders for a retailer to learn about कि dispute कैसे solve होगा, discovery कैसे होगी, and अगर कोई problem होता है then who I can call. And after 5 to 6 orders, the retailer becomes organic. So this is how we are expanding the retailer network. Both offline channel and online channels we are trying to leverage right now, and that's how it's. This is the GTM strategy that we use basically.
Thanks. And a follow-up for you, Pratik, I guess on similar lines. Are you able to take online brands now via your sort of model to these retailers as well, or is it primarily still physical touch and feel products only?
Yeah, so we deal with almost all the new age D2C brands, and we are building an offline retail channel. So yeah, that is there. But in our case, I will just continue what Siddharth said. In our case, it is onboarding the retailer is purely physical. Our sales fleet goes and onboard them there because we are dealing with new brands, right, which are not even there, not even commoditized. We are not selling slippers, or we are selling brands at the end. So someone need to go and tell the USP that my oral care brand is better than Sensodyne or the Colgates of the world. Could be better margin, or could be better consumer USP also, could be alcohol free. So we are currently we are largely dependent on feet on street to acquire the retailers.
And is that retailer then able to successfully get the brand's message or narrative across along the sales channel? Obviously, I think even Manish touched on this entire education point for the retailer, etc. Is that successful as a journey, or it takes really long? Like, is that a 6-month period before they get comfortable with the brand and product and understanding?
Right. So we don't expect the retailer firstly to be educated on the brand. That is our job to make the sellout even happen from that retailer store. That's what I said. We learned the hard way. It's our responsibility that consumer comes and buy the product from the shelf. So we do a lot of BTL activities for the brands. Could be sampling, could be promoter activities, a person standing at the store and giving the product to the consumer, and could be canopy activity, right? Just distributing free samples. So retailer is always is trying to escape from all these new information. He's like, रख जाओ बिक जाएगा तो पैसे दे देंगे. So now it becomes our responsibility क्योंकि बिकवाना भी हमको ही है.
So you're saying the GTM is equally reliant on the consumer side education as much as it is on the retailer.
Yeah, like BTL activities actually do that, help us do that.
Thank you, guys.
And Manish, on that question that he was asking, like in retailer equivalent for you is the agent, like so how that acquisition works.
So in our case, we obviously give a lot of emphasis on our app on the training and education. So we have in fact, we believe that if we have to be super successful, in a way we have to be an edtech platform also. So we have these live trainings, we have these recorded trainings, but the major education starts when a partner enters the customer details. And that's when we tell the partner that, hey, these are the products which we are recommending for this customer, and here are the benefits, why should a customer take it? And then the partner can go as deep as possible into that, starting from the point that what is this product? So let's say if I'm selling a credit card, then the partner can even start with what is a credit card, because the partner has just given us a customer, we have told the partner that this is the right product. So it starts from there till the very sophisticated questions like what is going to be the process like, there's going to be a VKYC, what are the things to keep in mind while doing VKYC. So from very start till the very end, we handhold our partners fully digitally on our app. So like unlike them, the onboarding for us, the education for us happens totally on the app, on the product itself.
I had a question for Manish. So regarding the financial products that are being distributed, are you thinking of adding insurance or any other such financial products to the mix?
Yeah, so we right now only focus on credit, and I'll tell you the rationale of coming to that. So we divided fintech into 5 large categories. One was payments, investments, insurance, banking, and credit. Now what we realized that in payments, banking, and investment, the customer base that we are going after, these are top of the funnel products, you can never make money. So you are left with insurance and credit. Now insurance, timing is also a very important part whenever you choose a category. So in insurance we were late because companies like Turtlemint and all these players have sort of taken over. And obviously it's a highly regulated business, you need a different set of agents, very different customer persona, etc. But while we were doing all of this exercise, I think credit was coming up. So digital journeys were getting created. Regulator was pushing everyone. There was a guideline that you have to reduce the footfall from branches. Banks are going branchless. So everything is working in our favor. And India credit market is sort of indefinite. And from a partner standpoint also, it is not so highly regulated. It is easier to train someone to give loan on a credit card. So I think basis on this, we decided to zero down on credit as a category, and right now we only focus on credit as a business.
Rahul has a question.
Hello. Manish, so what is, so in credit, how are we different firstly from the other fintechs, and what kind of underwriting, how are we, what are the processes of our underwriting which makes us very, very robust?
Yeah, so in credit, I think what could be your moat, right? So there could be 3 moats. One is your brand, but we realize that we will never be able to compete with HDFC and ICICIs of the world. So brand is never going to be a moat. The second thing could be your product, but now regulator is very clear that you cannot innovate much on the product. These are the 5 steps. This is what everyone has to do. So product can also not be the moat. I think third thing where we think is going to be a bigger moat is your distribution. So now how we differ from every other fintech that you are referring to. So they are like, again, going directly B2C. In B2C, as I said, you can either go after a customer through mainstream channels where you don't have to solve for trust, you don't have to solve for awareness, you don't have to solve for education, you just need to give them a product because they want it. The customer base that we are going after, you have to do you have to focus a lot on trust, education, push, motivation, and that's where these last mile agents play a very, very critical role. And we have created in a way where this is a no capex and no opex model. This is where I think that customer base is low ARPU and you can make some money. So I think we are different in the style of reaching out to customer, which is through these relationship managers. They acquire customers for us. So what is the highest cost? Like it's CAC and servicing the customer. If you can outsource both and you don't have to pay for that, then I think you can win that market, and that's how we are going after that.
So this is what closer to what microfinance lending, or this is more of a community lending, or what is the kind of buyer profile we have?
Yeah, so right now we are focusing on credit cards and instant personal loans. So think of it like an LIC model where the agent reaches out to customer in their network and customers. Whosoever is looking for that product, the agent gets that customer on our app. We recommend the right product, and then from there, agent acts as a relationship manager and ultimately deliver that product.
Okay, so on our platform, basically, you would have all the vendors associated
Yes.
with you all according to your research.
Yes, it's a marketplace for the partners or clients.
Thank you.